Okay, summarizing that game against Louisiana Tech, felt they were a very good football team going into the game, and they are. Offensively, we did want to control the clock with efficient drives. I think we had efficient drives. We did not cash in points in the red zone, and many of our drives, 5 actually, were ended by penalties. 4 of those 5 on third downs that were converted. 2 of those for very big gains. So holding calls, a chop block, and false starts all contributed to drives ending for us offensively. Time of possession wasn't our favor. It was a goal going into the game. 35 minutes is our goal each game. We held it for 35, 36. But again, we were only 1 for 2 in red zone scoring. We fumbled the snap exchange on the second short and goal play. We wanted to be in manageable third downs. I thought Ryan Metz did an outstanding job all game on third downs. We were 8 of 14, 57%. Our goal's 45%. And actually there was 3 more conversions that were taken away by penalties. So we were in manageable third downs with running the ball efficiently, and Ryan made good decisions on third downs. But the thing that killed us were penalties offensively. We lost over 100 yards of offense in penalties. And again, all of those being critical situations, all of those preventable by moving your feet. And as you look at the film, they were holding calls. Guys not moving their feet, guys not letting go at the proper time, not feeling pressure. And then we had a chop block, which was probably more of a young kid making a mistake. Whenever anybody's extended on offense, even if it's reaching out with a hand, if you go low, they're going to call a chop block. You don't even have to get the guy in a chop position. And really on that, all he had to do is carry out his fake. It was really a non-significant factor in the play, but they saw it and they called it. And then the false starts are inexcusable. Turnovers, we had the interception. Ball kind of sailed on Ryan, made the right decision, had a guy open, and just kind of sailed down, and their guy made one heck of a play. And then we had the fumbled exchange, which is inexcusable down on the goal line. So it puts us at -6 on the year. The number one thing that we have to correct moving forward, if we're going to have a successful year, is turnovers and penalties, and things that we're emphasizing heavily as a staff. Explosive plays, we had a goal of 10 in the game, 5 run, 5 pass. We ended up with 5 explosive passes, 1 to Plinky, 1 to Senegal, 1 to Janelle, and Senegal actually had 2 in Cole Freitag. Eddie Senegal had a 100-yard receiving game. It was good to see him get involved. It was good to see the tight ends get involved, 10 total catches, and Plinky had an outstanding game and had, again, probably could have had another 30 yards. He had a concentration drop on 1, had 1 called back by a penalty. We had 3 explosive runs, all by Metz, plus 10 runs. I thought Aaron Jones ran extremely hard in this game, but it wasn't a typical Aaron Jones game. You could see that he didn't have quite the juice, breaking off tackles, doing things in open space, but really one of his better games from a physical standpoint. He just ran hard and gave everything that he had playing on that injured ankle. Defensively, we had no penalties that extended drives. That was a positive. We did not have any sacks, and we had 3 in our sights. We showed on film to the team yesterday. 3 sacks that were missed. We can't miss opportunities on sacks. And then we had tackles for losses only from Usher and Needham. We have to play in the other team's backfield. We have to start producing negative plays. We produced no turnovers, but again, we had our hands on the ball 3 different times. Twice by Justin Rogers, once by Deshaun Smith, and then we had a fumbled force by Mad Dog that we didn't end up on. So 4 opportunities to force turnovers, we didn't come up with it. Again, that's why we're -6 on the year. We held them 217 yards under their passing total. I thought, minus the first 2 drives, I thought the defense really settled in and took away their screen game. And they have an outstanding screen game, the quick screens, the tunnel screens, the jailbreaks. They were pursuing, they were being physical, getting off the blocks, and really kind of took that away from them. The thing that was disappointing was the fourth quarter versus the run. The offense had just scored to make it 14-7. And at that point, that's when we got to start feeding off each other. The game was completely in the balance to go either way, and they pop a 70-yard run versus an all-out blitz. And we had a defender that should have come underneath and been ready for that, and it didn't work out that way. But the disheartening thing was they only had 63 yards rushing heading into the fourth quarter. We had stopped them pretty cold in the run game, and they ended up with 133 yards in the fourth quarter. That cannot happen for us to move forward and get better. We got to do a better job on third downs. They were 55%. Our goal is 35%. And red zone, they were 2 for 2, 100%. So things that we need to improve upon moving forward. Third down efficiency, I thought offense took a big step in that last week. Red zone, producing points in the red zone offensively, and then making teams kick field goals or kicking them out of the red zone defensively. We said the team that had more explosive plays is going to win the game. They had 10 to our 8, and that's got a trend that's got to change as well. Special teams, again, another outstanding night by Luna, 42-yard average. He had a 39-yard net, which means we got good coverage. Our goal's 38. He had 3 inside the 20, 2 inside the 10, and 1 inside the 5. It was great coverage by the punt team. Adrian Henson down those punts. He was also our top gun player of the week. He had some bodies on the ground. He was physical. He plays on all 4 core special teams. Punt return, Terry made a good decision fielding the ball. He actually had an outstanding return. It was kind of a go-go gadget return, but his knee did hit the ground, and they reviewed it, and they took that back. So it was really a -1 yard return, probably the best -1 yard return I've seen. Kickoff cover, again, nobody's passed our 20-yard line yet this year. We need to continue that trend. Maddox did a good job kicking 2 out of the end zone. Kickoff return, Jaquan White did a nice job. We had some good and bad on kickoff return. We had a long of 31 and a return of 28. That was a positive. But then we had a miscommunication holding Jaquan in the end zone one time that resulted in only a 13-yard return. And then we had a hold by Nick Usher. Again, another situation where guys just got to move their feet, run their hands, run their feet, and pull off when necessary, because it was unnecessary on that play to hold. So instead of having the ball at the 30, you got the ball at the 10. And the offense starts in bad field position. So things that we need to rectify, and we're working hard at. Point production on offense, although I think offensively we took some steps in that game. Penalties as a team, and again, more so holding penalties. And when it's the same things over and over, you have to look at a few things. You have to look at scheme, and you have to look at personnel, and you have to look at how you're drilling it, and we'll look at all 3. And then ultimately, it's turnovers. When you're sitting at -6, almost at the halfway point, with a lot of season left in front of you, you got to really attack ball security. It's something that we need to correct. Moving on to FIU. They got their first win last week in a heated rival game against FAU, 33-31. They played some outstanding teams. Their 4 losses are to Maryland, who's undefeated, Indiana, who beat Michigan State last week, UMass, who took an SEC team down to the wire, and then Central Florida, who always has a solid football program. So this is a good football team that handed us last year down there. But again, they're fighting the same formula that we are right now. They're -6 in turnovers. That's reflective of their record 1-4, and why they're 1-4 and we're 1-4. Offensively, their quarterback, who had an outstanding game against us last year, Alex Magoo, 6'3", 218. He's got off to a little slow start this year, 5 interceptions versus 2 touchdowns. But this guy can also pull down the ball on the zone reads. He's a threat to run it. He's got 2 rushing touchdowns. Their number 1 guys are running back. Alex Gardner, number 1, 5'10", 192. This guy leads their team in all-purpose yards. Rushing, he's also their second leading receiver. He accounts for almost half of their offensive production. They got an outstanding center. In fact, I think they got a very athletic offensive line. All of their guys started games for them last year, but their center was second team All-Conference USA. And then they got an outstanding tight end, an NFL receiving type tight end, and Janu Smith. He's been their leading receiver now for a few years. He's a big target at 235 pounds. They can spread him out. He can line up as a wide receiver and catch balls. He can also do it from the tight end position. And then they got 2 freshman receivers that have been very productive for them. Number 15 and 21 are 3rd and 4th on their team in receptions. Defensively, a very athletic defense. They have currently right now the top number 2 and number 3 tackler in Conference USA, and their 2 linebackers. Trayvon Williams, who leads their team in tackles, is 2nd in Conference USA. And then number 53, Anthony Wint, is 2nd on their team in tackles, is 3rd in Conference USA in tackles. So 2 outstanding linebackers, both about the same size, 6 foot, 230, can really run. They got a safety that's a hard-hitting safety that's 3rd in their team in tackles, Nico Gonzalez. And then they have an undersized defensive end that really has great get-off and has been causing a lot of teams disruption in the passing game. His name is Furman Silva, 6'2", 234, and this guy's got great get-off. We got to be on our screws as far as handling that. He leads their team in sacks and tackles for losses. And then their top corners, number 28, he's got 1 interception and 3 pass breakups on their team. Punt, their punters averaging 34.6 net, long of 58. Punt return, number 81, who's a wide receiver, has 12 yards average per return, which puts them 6th in Conference USA. Kickoff cover, they only have 2 touchbacks, so I think we will get some return opportunities in this game. We need to take advantage of that. And then kickoff return, Anthony Jones has a 19.4 average. They do have a good field goal kicker. He's got a long of 47, and he's 6 for 6. They have had 1 PAT blocked. So a solid team coming in here, a team that beat us last year, although schematically what they did and what we did last year are completely different. But for us right now, it's all about solving issues and problems, and we're working hard at that. There may be some personnel changes to rectify that, because you cannot continue to do the same things with the same people and expect the same results, you know what I mean, and expect different results. You have to make change if it's not working properly. As far as Ryan Metz, I don't know his availability. He took quite a shot in that game. Right now he's in concussion protocol. It all depends on how he's feeling probably tomorrow, and he's going to visit with the doctors, but I don't know of his availability as of yet. Any questions?
Does that mean if he can't go, or you said on Zach Greenlee then?
Yeah, it would be Zach, and Zach was our number 2 quarterback going into this game, and when Ryan got injured in the game, Zach came in and actually did a nice job, generated the ball down the field in a 2-minute situation, but we probably would like to take back that fumbled exchange, but that's on the center and the quarterback.
People that can just look at the box score defensively and look at stats, may look at your defense and not give them the credit, but they've been actually pretty good. And not only that, but you've been playing young guys. Can you just touch on, really since the Texas game, how they've just been able to kind of improve, kind of throwing out the Army game as well?
Yeah, I think our defense has been improving. I think really in the second and third quarter of that game, they had Louisiana Tech's number. They weren't generating any offense, but we got to start faster. They kind of ease into the game, and then they pick it up. We were down 14-0, and that has to do with offense as well. But the thing that disappointed me and Coach Mason in that game was the fourth quarter run game. Had some guys out of gaps, those type things. But again, you're right. I think we have a young defense. I think they're improving weekly, and I think they have a chance to be a very good defense. And the kids are really working hard at it.
Coach, in comparison to last year and this year, I know that the offensive line was, you had a strength, but has it regressed? Have they stopped doing stuff? What's been going on?
We have had some issues at some certain positions, and we probably will make some personnel moves there. You're always trying to get your best 5 out there. I feel very strongly about 3 guys are playing extremely well. There's probably 1 or 2 guys that probably haven't played up to their expectations or what we expect of them. And again, there'll probably be a few personnel changes in there. You don't like to do moving parts when it comes to the offensive line, but if it's going to help us produce better, we'll certainly do that. So not disappointing with them as a group, okay, but certainly many things that we can improve upon.
The second half, there were no holding penalties. Did something happen at halftime? Did you change anything, or did they just get better about it?
Again, holding, if it's properly called, it's usually a guy that's out of position. The hat's in the wrong spot, or your feet are in the wrong spot, you're not running your feet, and then the defender's trying to get off, and here's what the ref sees. He sees you in this off position with your hands extended. We need to do a better job of running our feet, squaring up on our blocks, keeping our hands inside, and then when the defenders do try to release, at some point you have to let them go, especially if it's away from the play. And that's the thing that's been driving me nuts. Most of these holding calls have been far, far, far away from the play, which really there's no need to do that. But it's something that we'll continue to coach and continue to emphasize and try to get better at, because we have to.
Coach, Aaron Jones, first or second play of the game, someone catches him behind him, falls still on the ankle. How's he doing? Because he's sure those first couple of steps that he would normally take and make his cuts. They just weren't there after that.
Yeah, I saw a lot of runs that you're looking at and saying Aaron probably would have broke that run or really bounced off that tackle. That was really a gutsy performance by Aaron because he did get hobbled early in the game. It was in the first series, came off. He probably had to retape his ankle about 6 times, but he kept coming back and he kept wanting to play. And it was one of those deals where we got Quadres in there a little bit, which we'll have to do. We have to continue to take carries off of Aaron Jones. We're going to try to get Darren LaFossa involved a little bit. But again, when your best player comes up to you and says he's ready to roll, and he goes out there and you see how he's competing, I mean, he was getting 5-6 yards a carry, but it was him running over tacklers. He couldn't just make the second defender miss, which he normally does. But to me, that was one of the more impressive performances he's ever had because it really was all guts.
How much like a game of whack-a-mole is just trying to get through a season, just trying to keep everything tamped down, especially, with a team where you're trying to improve depth?
Yeah, you just, number one, you take it 1 week at a time, and you try to correct your mistakes, number one. For us, that's been the issue. We've had repeated mistakes in the same areas, turnovers, penalties. So when you have something like that glaring, you have to look at, again, is it scheme, is it personnel? Are we doing something that we need to change? And I'm always up for that, looking, can we change our practice? Can we change anything to help our situation? But then ultimately you got to take it 1 week at a time, and you can't look back. You can look back at the end of the season, and I think if we look back at the end of the season and we're talking about we came together as a team around midseason and progressed and continually gotten better, I still like our chances for this team. What we don't want to look back at the end of the season and say we didn't fix our problems. And that falls on me as a head coach, that we have to fix our problems and move forward. And I believe this team will do it. I haven't lost any confidence in this team. In fact, I really enjoy coaching this team. They've got my back 100%, and I've got their back 100%, and we're just going to roll up our sleeves and work. I would ask that the minor fans who we love, we got great fans, they come and support us. I think we're number 1 or number 2 in Conference USA attendance. We're hoping that they come out and support us full force, and I hope that they keep backing the team, and I hope that they keep fighting for the team because I know our kids are going to go out there and fight for them.
Coach, what do you do to try to generate more negative plays, more big plays on defense? And also, is Justin Rogers now going to be the starting corner?
To your second question first, yeah, Justin's really doing a good job. I think it gives us 3 quality corners when Kalon comes back. Kalon's still injured. It wasn't a situation where he beat out Kalon, but since he's been in there, his play's been quality. He's a competitor. He fights for balls. He's getting some pass breakups. He's even had his hands on a few balls he'd like to see turn into interceptions. That'll come. He's stripped some fumbles, and he's made some nice tackles. So I've been very pleased with Justin Rogers as a true freshman going out there and competing really against some good receivers that he's seen the last few weeks. And your first question again, Brent, was?
How do you create more plays on defense?
Well, there's different things that we got to do. Number 1, you got to get off blocks. Number 2, you got to, when the plays there presented to you, again, we missed 3 sacks with the quarterback in our sights. I'm talking within a step, within a grasp. We have to hit home on those plays. So we got to finish plays. And then again, schematically, I know Coach Mason, he does a great job of getting everybody in the right gaps. And when guys are in the right gaps, they got to fit in and make the plays properly. So that's the best formula for creating negative plays. And sometimes negative plays are created by the offense, too, if they have an assignment error or somebody does the wrong thing. But defensively, it's just doing your job and winning your one-on-one battles.
Obviously, the major concern right now with Metz is his health, but did he sort of solidify himself as the guy that you kind of been looking for at quarterback?
Yeah, and, as I mentioned last week, we were looking for a spark, and he gave us that. He was 20 for 28. He was 71%. Our goal for a quarterback is 65%. He was 71% passing. He made plays with his legs. Ryan is a fierce competitor, and I knew that he would bring that energy to our team. He did. I think we would like to extend some drives and score more points, but he brought the spark that we were looking for. If he's healthy, he'll start in this game, okay, and moving forward. But I don't know of his health right now, and that's something, as a head coach, I take very seriously. When a guy gets hit in the head, you really got to trust the doctors and go through the proper protocol, whatever that is. If he feels fine and he can go, he's certainly going to be our quarterback in this game. Yeah, we got to work on that. Yeah, and again, it wasn't on that one. He had 2 other runs where he's reckless, which you love about the kid. He's a competitor, and his teammates see that too. They see that this guy will lay it on the line for his team. But again, at that position, you got to be a little bit smarter because these safeties and linebackers, they'll take your head off, and in his case, they did.
A lot of things have changed in college football from the way that the recruiting and the way that you look at it. How much did you and your staff look at analytics and advanced statistics for your guys' preparation during the week?
There's a lot of that. We get computer breakdowns on tendencies, coordinator tendency, call tendencies, down the distance, field tendencies. Computers have really, it kind of started in the NFL and it's really trickled down to college football. It's a big part of your preparation process. You can really narrow it down. Sometimes there's too much information where you sit there and go, you know what? It's more about blocking and tackling and basics and fundamentals, but it does assist you in preparation. The recruiting part of it, we have our own formula. Now we do get, we subscribe to services that send us films and those type things, but when it comes to actually evaluating players and deciding if they're a good fit for us, we really don't take anybody else's word for it. We take our own because a lot of those recruiting services are money-based, and we have our own formula for that.
Could you comment a little bit on the hit on Metz? From our vantage point, he was not even met at the line. He was already out of bounds on the hit, and once again the helmet comes off, and it was bad hit.
I'd rather not because I don't want to get irritated, but sometimes their view of a call is different than my view of a call. I'll leave it at that. Anybody else? Good.
If Mets can't go this week, do you have to start looking at Torres and maybe his red shirt, or what's?
I would hate to burn a young man's red shirt midway through the season, although I think Torres is really going to be an outstanding quarterback. He's done a great job with our scout team. He's got a lot of ability. You'd love to see this guy red shirt and have a year in the weight room. So if this game goes into where Ryan cannot play, Kubica will be the number 2 quarterback, but we will have to have Torres available. You have to have 3 quarterbacks in your roster, but I would hate to get to that point just because of the young man's future is so bright, and he needs a lot of things to work on. In particular, he needs to live in the weight room. But you'll see that kid eventually. He's going to be a great quarterback for UTEP. Anybody else? All right, thanks, guys.